from Lawrenceville, Illinois, number 50, Marty Simmons. For Richmond at forward, a 6'5" sophomore from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, number 32, John Davis. For Indiana at forward, a 6'8" freshman from Oshkosh, Wisconsin, number 30, Todd Meyer. For Richmond at center, a 6'9" senior from Middletown, Ohio, number 45, Bill Fly. For Indiana at center, a 7'2" junior from Munich, West Germany, number 33, Uwe Blab. For Richmond at guard, a 5'10" sophomore from Uniontown, Pennsylvania, number 10, Greg Beckwith. For Indiana at guard, a 6'2" freshman from Newcastle, Indiana, number 12, Steve Alford. For Richmond at guard, a 6'2" junior from Washington, D.C., number 11, Kelvin Johnson. And for Indiana at guard, a 6'1" sophomore from Anderson, Indiana, number 22, Stu Robinson. And introducing the head coaches for Richmond in his 3rd season, Dick Tarrant. And for Indiana in his 13th season, Bobby Knight.
The officials for the game, a mixed crew: Joe Forte of the ACC, Woody Mayfield of the Big 8, and Sonny Holmes of the Southeastern Conference. The start of the game, the winner to meet North Carolina next week in Atlanta. The first meeting ever between the Spiders of Richmond and the Hoosiers of Indiana. Spiders with a 22-9 record. Not only is this their first tournament, but they won their first conference championship, that in the ECAC South. Dick Tarrant, their coach, high school coach for many years in New Jersey. And Bobby Knight, the Olympic coach, man who has already won 2 NCAA titles in Indiana. Uwe Blab will go up, and the control tip goes off to John Newman, number 20 of Richmond. This is their quarterback, Greg Beckwith. He's only 5'8". They list him at 5'10", and quickly Bill Fly puts one on the way. Stu Robinson with a rebound.
Well, not going to tempo the game much. Fly has had a great tournament, and he's really been hot from the outside shooting, but Gary, he can ill afford to go ahead and put the ball up from out there.
Stu Robinson, who's been shooting well, rebound inside Newman, and he protected it well. Newman was the ECA South Conference Player of the Year.
Well, we saw Terrence Stansbury, an outstanding player in the first game. Newman's got those same kind of qualities.
He's a sophomore. This is a young ball club. Only one senior in the starting lineup for Richmond. Stu Robinson with a rebound.
You would think, with not a deep bench, and the fact you're going to go up against Indiana, that Richmond would go ahead and try to occupy the ball a little bit in this game, but they're putting the shot up quickly.
Steve Alford is fouled by Beckwith. You wonder, Billy, 5 games in 9 days. I guess at this point, you come in, you think, hey, I can continue forever. But we saw what happened to Temple in that first game.
I'd be asking a lot of teams like North Carolina, Georgetown, and Kentucky that have those huge benches and very deep ball clubs. But for Richmond, that may be asking too much. We'll just have to wait and see. They're in a 2-1-2 zone to start things.
Stu Robinson started 14 games prior to today. He's had 15 different starting lineups as Bobby Knight. That'll be a turnover against the Hoosiers. And Richmond.
Pretty good pump fake by Alford, but he did drag that foot along with him.
And Richmond will bring it up. This Richmond team, coached by Dick Tarrant, his 3rd year. He was voted the Virginia Coach of the Year. This team was picked dead last at the start of the year in their conference. No one thought they had any opportunity to have this kind of year.
Isn't it amazing how many fellows have taken clubs from bottom to top? Dean Cady from Purdue picked to be down near the bottom of the Big Ten and put them right up in there for fighting for the tie, and got the tie for the championship.
Newman, their leading scorer, averaging 22 points a game. Draws first blood in this game, 2-0.
Danville, Virginia sophomore, showing a lot of confidence there, putting that shot up right in Uwe Blab's face.
Alford, the leading free throw shooter in the nation.
There's Richmond extending that zone out a little bit. Beckwith awful small out there at the point. You can get the ball by him pretty easily. Not a walk.
We mentioned how young a team Indiana is. They're starting 3 freshmen in this lineup.
The 18th different starting lineup Bobby Knight's had this year.
Todd Meyer is fouled. It'll go on Bill Fly reaching in. Bobby Knight feels that Todd Meyer has a chance to be an excellent player. He's come on strong, the freshman from Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
He gradually moved into that lineup. You know, Gary, when you think early in the year, you wouldn't have projected him in. You had Mike Giomi, back with this ball club. You figured he'd get a lot of playing time, but he didn't give that solid performance on defense that Bobby wanted.
They're giving him a 2-shot foul. That's interesting. I did not think he was shooting while he was fouled.
Me neither.
Todd Meyer misses. Now, Indiana's a good free throw shooting team, and that's always been a characteristic of Indiana. They're shooting 72% for the year.
Well, one of the big reasons, too, is because Steve Alford has been on the line 128 times, which only one other guy, Marty Simmons, has been there over 100, and he's shooting over 91% as Alford.
Meyer not able to get either one, and Indiana still has not scored in this game at the 17:57 mark, and it's going to be a foul on John Newman. John Newman commits a foul. That's the 13th foul. I didn't see that one either.
I thought that was Robertson banging on in there.
Are we seeing the same game here?
Well, I don't know. We'll see as it moves along. There's Dick Tarrant moving that defense up now. For the first time, it looks like we're going to see Richmond playing a little 1-3-1 trap.
Marty Simmons, who was Illinois' Mr. Basketball a year ago. Alford missing, positioning inside, and going to be a foul. It's going to be on Todd Meyer.
Meyer pushing off Davis. Davis, another one of those great garbage-type rebounders at 6'5", can go among taller people and pull out the ball. And from, of all places, Chapel Hill, North Carolina. So you can tell that he was not that highly recruited if he was right there in Dean Smith's backyard.
Well, Coach Tarrant said he was kind of an in-betweener size-wise.
Johnson took his eye off the ball and thrown right out of bounds.
Game not starting very efficiently right now. Richmond leading 2-0, and we're at the 17:36 mark of this first half.
Now Richmond looks like they're going to drop back in their 2-3 zone, changing things. A 2-1-2 zone, fly right in the middle.
Marty Simmons been shooting much better of late. Flop with a rebound, and John Davis comes down with it.
Nice job by Newman to fly over the top there, distracting block.
Beckwith, Tarrant said that a lot of guys look at Beckwith and they start laughing. They say, how can this little guy play? Well, he's like a water bug out there. You can hardly stay with him.
He's been shooting very well in recent time. There's Sly putting up another jumper. He has really been hot during the tournament play.
He has been. Down the stretch playing his best basketball. He was a forward for 3 years, moved to center this year. Uwe Blab.
But a lot of size.
So Blab finally gets him on the scoreboard at the 16:40 mark, 2-2. Newman again.
Not really good shot selection by Richmond here early in the ball game. They have a hard time rebounding shots from that far out. Beckwith going out there playing Robinson, showing his quickness.
This is a great contrast, Billy, to that game against Auburn. Richmond came out, I think, hit, 9 of their first 11. Played almost a perfect game in shot selection. Not here, though. And Blab forces it in.
Of course, Auburn was sleepwalking for a good portion of that ball game and never really got into it until they got down to the last 12 minutes.
Barkley came on in the second half.
Here's that straight man-to-man by Indiana.
Newman, he got the screen.
Now there it is, a little bit of shot. Good shot selection there inside about 16, 18 feet.
They call him a shot maker. In other words, he catches the ball so well, and he'll find a position to get open, and there was a good example of it. 4-4 our score.
The third leading sophomore scorer in the country. Everybody knows who number 1 is, Wayman Tisdale. I'm sure we'll be seeing him before too long.
They're playing Dayton later today on CBS. Stu Robinson, good ball movement. Todd Meyer.
Excellent ball movement by Indiana.
Todd Meyer gives Indiana their first lead of the game, 6-4.
Meyer's always matched up against the top front liner offensively. Good move by Newman.
Newman is smooth, isn't he? And have another foul on Todd Meyer. Let's go back to Newman on that last basket.
Little quick for Meyer, it looks like. He pushes off, gets a nice screen by Fly, goes right back, squares up nicely on the jump shot, and no trouble for 2.
Now they're going to take Newman out of the ball game, and Tim Harden, 34, 6'5" freshman, comes in.
Now, the reason they're taking him out, not that he's tired, they're wanting to show him a little something defensively. You're going to believe he's going to be right back on the sidelines momentarily, coming back in his ball game.
That's the man that just checked in, Harden. He's out of Russellville, Arkansas. Dick Tarrant said, we've never had anybody from Arkansas play at Richmond.
You know, his recruiting, the entire ball club is from all over the place, so it's not made up of just local kids.
Freshman misses, and Alford has the rebound. And who touched that one? Still going to be Indiana's ball. Kentucky leading BYU. Kentucky is the last Southeastern Conference team alive in the tournament. 3 have been eliminated. 6-4, Indiana leads at the 14:57 mark of the first half.
The good life in America means reaching for your dreams.
Millions of Americans will enjoy their leisure years more because of the Equitable. We're one of the nation's largest managers of pension funds. America's keeper of dreams.
We are the Equitable. Yes, we'll help you live the good life. We are the Equitable. We can help your dreams come true.
Over the years, every Mercedes-Benz has expressed the standards of its heritage. Now, a new class of Mercedes-Benz does the same. Its lean, trim appearance may surprise you. Its quick, agile performance may astonish you. The Mercedes-Benz 190 class, the world's most revered automotive standards in an automobile like none before.
Looking at this stat, Bill, it brings to mind why Indiana was one of the seeded teams. They were 3-5 against NCAA tournament teams. In fact, all three Big Ten teams were seeded.
Exactly. A very strong Big Ten. You see Michigan doing pretty well. One of the teams that, on the fence that did not get in, I thought they did very well in their opening round NIT game. So the league is strong as always. A little young this year.
See that Newman has come back into the game, and as you mentioned, he got some instructions from Dick Tarrant and his staff. And at the 14:57 mark, Indiana with a 2-point lead will inbound.
I believe you're going to see Indiana start attacking Beckler's side of the zone and trying to shoot over the top of him. There it is right there, going over to Alford.
Rod Meyer hit it from the other side earlier. Flop with the rebound, and he'll reload. Flop again. Nobody can get up in his face for Richmond.
No, Blab's playing way up above everybody on the Richmond team right now.
6 points for Uwe, 8-4.
Newman looked like he's going to put that one up. Very smooth.
Here is Davis, a sophomore, as you mentioned, from Chapel Hill. Kelvin Johnson out of DeMatha High School. Outstanding program. Morgan Wooten, the head coach there.
Well, he's got a former teammate also in the tournament, Adrian Branch at Maryland. So DeMatha always putting out product.
We played almost 6 minutes of this first half. Marty Simmons.
Nice follow through.
Now, Simmons, according to Bobby Knight, has to learn to play quicker. He's a big, strong guy, and he's been sometimes not as mobile. But he lost some confidence in his shooting. It's starting to come back.
Well, I think it's about as hard to teach quickness as it is height, Gary. So Bobby's going to have to explain that one to me. People are born with quickness. You can develop it a little bit. Maybe he means mentally.
I'm going to ask Bobby next time.
There's some quickness.
Robinson on the steal. Fly is down there, and Robinson does a nice job.
Well, just as we saw in the first game today, Robinson doing what you've got to do against a bigger man. Get him on your hip so that he can't extend himself going for the block.
Now it's a 6-point lead after trailing early now. Indiana's gotten it together.
And pretty soon you've got to imagine that the emotional feeling for Richmond is going to really come to a head.
Now Kelvin Johnson hits another one.
And the point I'm making there, Gary, is that they're here when they didn't expect to be. And that man right there, Kelvin Johnson, I saw him in the lobby last night. I said, when Auburn closed the gap on you, I never thought you'd win the game. He looked at me square in the eye. He said, neither did I. And sooner or later, that'll hit this team.
As to where they are. Alford hitting from outside. Alford was a good field goal shooter this year. He was second in the Big Ten with 60%.
Now, what they're talking about right now is to keep the hands off the ball after it goes through the basket. You get one warning there, and from that point on, the officials will throw a technical.
In effect, that's the delay of game. Dick Tarrant's Richmond Spiders trailing 14-8 with 13:05 to go in this first half. The winner of this game will play the top-ranked team in the country next week in Atlanta, North Carolina, who earlier won impressively over Temple.
By not being able to hit, and as we said, he's really had a blistering tournament in terms of field goal accuracy, but he hadn't been able to get one to fall so far.
Alford, who hit one a moment ago, changes inside to Blab. That's a tough shot.
Good catch by Uwe Blab. He had good concentration to make, you would have thought Alford's going to put up that jumper.
Uwe with 8. Bill Fly had Blab in his face that time. Johnny Davis to follow. And Fly is there, and we're going to have a foul.
Going to be on Newman pushing from the backside, but give Richmond a lot of credit on that sequence. They really battled on the boards.
You're going to have to gang up on Blab. He's at 7'2". The tallest man in the starting lineup for Richmond is Fly. He's 6'9".
Gary Fly is going to have to be a little bit more patient on his offense. He's been putting up the shots too quickly, trying to make it all happen at once.
He's coming off of an outstanding tournament. He made the all-tourney team on that ECAC South tournament.
Good
Lead Fly on that one.
And again, Uwe Blab catching the ball a lot better than he did a couple of weeks ago against Illinois, really concentrating.
A 10-point lead for the Hoosiers, and Uwe Blab has 10 himself.
Look at, he's right out there on Fly.
There's been some questions about his emotional intensity, but we've seen him a couple times really get riled up. Remember that Illinois game?
Oh, yeah.
There's Fly.
Stepped outside, caught Blab on a pick.
The only senior on the team from Middleton, Ohio, Bill Fly, makes it 18-10. Blab, by the way, is 5 of 6 from the field, and he just committed a foul.
Uwe Blab pushing off against Fly, being a little bit too aggressive. And here we see Uwe down there against the zone. Indiana's playing right over the top of Indiana on this zone. Here's a good pass by Alford. Throwing exactly where you'd want to throw it. Away from the defender, and Blab did a good job catching it.
The foul going on Uwe, and Uwe committing his first. That's the third team foul against Indiana.
There's that double stack offense there. Good job into Newman. Got it away quickly, but Blab came over from the weak side.
He led this team, obviously, in blocks this year. He just added another one. But Newman shows you he can load it up and put it up in a hurry. Davis to bring it in to Fly, and Fly is fouled, and Uwe's picked up 2 fouls in a hurry.
No, I think that's going to be on Robinson hanging in there. Yep.
Okay, Stu Robinson picking it up. That'll be his first.
Boy, Fly's aggressive, isn't he?
Fly is not really pretty out there, but he's effective from the standpoint he just comes right at people.
So what helps, and he was a forward throughout his career, so it makes him a very active center when he's moved over to that position.
Well, Dick Tarrant said he's the best captain I've had.
In the tournament, he had 19 against Auburn, 19 against Rider. He was 16 for 25, which was 64% in those 2 previous NCAA meetings.
3 points for Fly, 18-11. Good free throw shooter, 85%. He's 19th in the nation.
Very good. And you know, I like the fact that he's very confident in his game here today. He's taking it right to Indiana, even though he's taking some questionable shot selections in the beginning. And there, a little change in the defense now.
The Indiana team's a good field goal shooting team. They led the Big Ten, and they're shooting 60% right now. Rod Meyer walked to the ball.
Yep, Richmond very active on that defensive sequence. Nice job.
3 turnovers now against Indiana. They have to be a good shooting ball club, Billy, because Indiana is not that strong physically. Rebounding-wise, they've been beaten quite often. In fact, that's one of the frustrations of Bobby. He doesn't feel like they're tough as they should be.
Well, you know, both of these teams on the year have been out-rebounded by their opponents. That's very unusual for an NCAA club. Nice move.
Newman, very smooth. He has 6 points.
Now, what you're going to find here is that this crowd is basically a North Carolina crowd. And if Richmond can pick up their intensity, what will happen here on this floor is the North Carolina fans will start rooting for Richmond.
They don't want to play Indiana.
Well, it's not who you want to play. You always root for the underdog. You know, it's kind of a phenomenon that happens all over the country.
Alford with 4 points. Bumps it back to a 6-point lead for Indiana.
Nice feed.
Newman. Oh, little wrinkle there, but a little too much on it.
Well, you can tell he's you know, smooth, tight ball player. Feels like he can get off the shot against anybody. Little George Gervin in him.
Todd Meyer seems to find those open spots on the floor, and he drills this one. He has 4, 22-14, Indiana.
As we said, straight man-to-man. Simmons a little slow getting out there.
Beckles will not shoot that much. He's averaging just a little over 5 points a game. He's out there to distribute the ball.
And you can see Simmons is not playing Davis when Davis is beyond 12 feet.
John Davis, he's averaging 6 points. Johnson with a 13-point average, and Kelvin Johnson has 6.
Bobby Knight jumping on Steve Alford that time for not getting out there and really aggressively playing Johnson, who can hit that jumper.
You know, Indiana's hit 8 in a row from the field, but still Richmond's keeping close.
There's Blab coming over, knocking Fly around.
Oh, look at that.
What a
rebound
rebound.
by Newman, the long arms, and the 6'7", he rips it down.
Now Richmond getting a little better pacing, Gary. In the beginning of the game, they come down, took some quick shots. Tough call on Fly.
Fly just ran over Marty Simmons. That's his first. 15 foul against the Spiders of Richmond. Timeout, 9:16 to go in the first half. Indiana 22, Richmond 16.
IBM proudly introduces a bright little addition to the family. Name, PC Junior. Weight, 12 pounds. Small but powerful. PC Junior. Designed by IBM to make computing easy for everyone. PC Junior comes with bright ideas, like a keyboard that doesn't need a cord. It's called the Freeboard. There are picture instructions to help you get started, and special overlays to help you find the right keys. You can get easy-to-use software like a word processing program, and more surprises. Games and graphics your kids won't believe, plus a starting price you won't believe. And with easy-to-add options, Junior can grow up real fast. PC Junior, the new family edition from IBM.
Next weekend, U.S. Olympic gold medal winner Scott Hamilton will again try to prove he's the best. The World Figure Skating Championships next weekend on CBS Sports Saturday and Sunday.
John Newman with 6 points. He has shown us something in the early going. We're going to pick up one of his baseline moves.
Yeah, he's got that George Gervin ability to go in among the pack and never gets frustrated. Now watch him. He's going inside. He doesn't care who's in there because he knows he can create some kind of shot, just as we saw Michael Jordan do in a game earlier here today. Michael goes inside and he said, hey, wait, I don't know what I'm going to do once I get in there, but nobody's going to block it.
He went over 1,000 points in his career Thursday night. Remember, he's just a sophomore. 22-16. Indiana shooting 61%. Richmond 41. Indiana out-rebounded him by 4.
What we're seeing right now is a boxed-in-one on Steve Alford. Beckwith playing Alford, the other 4 guys playing zone.
Uwe in the face of Davis. And he's going to have a big afternoon the way he's headed. 12 points.
It looks like Gary's got a little bit too much size for Richmond to handle. The key there, if he's going to come out and play that high fly out to try to get him into foul trouble. Johnson on a walk.
Richmond does have a 6'10 guy, a freshman who hasn't played that much. That's the biggest man they have in their lineup.
Well, you know what I think would be a good idea to take a chance with Fly is to go ahead and clear out for him and make Uwe Blab play him, try to pick up some foolish fouls on Blab early.
We saw that score. Kentucky continues to lead Brigham Young University. They win there. They go home to Lexington to play in their own regional. Scores and highlights at halftime with Brent Musburger.
Uwe Blab's committed 78 fouls this year and fouled out of 3 games. And if you're Richmond, you'd be a lot better off if he was not in that lineup.
Well, they picked up 2 there in a hurry, but that's about the only flurry of activity in that department. 26-16, 10-point lead for Indiana. Boy, Meyer always takes their best offensive player. They like his defensive ability, and Johnson has hit some from outside, 4 to be exact. He has 8 points.
Every time that the Richmond guards can step outside of that double stack that they use, they seem to be able to get that jumper away. They square up to the basket very nicely.
And that was thrown away. We had that same play in the first game between North Carolina and Temple.
Yep, it's a mental play. The player sees out of the corner of his eye a light-shirted fella, and it turns out to be the referee, and just throw it right out of bounds.
There it is, 72-71 over Auburn. You see what Newman did. Fly had a big game. Davis, what did they lead? By 20 early in the game, and then Auburn just ran out of time.
Yep, Charles Barkley made the move at the end. There's Fly coming out again.
That's off of Marty Simmons. And Richmond will reset it. 7.5 minutes to go in this first half. Bobby Knight's team with their 9th straight 21 season. They come in here 20-8. Have the field down to 16 after this day is over. Todd Meyer comes up with the 6th turnover.
Meyer does a nice job defensively. Really positions himself well. Very aware.
Bobby said that he never really worked that hard on his game. He didn't spend that many hours, and he's still just learning some of the fine points of the game. Simmons misses. John Davis with a rebound.
Well, he is a garbage rebounder. Gets excellent position. We saw the other night Dayton doing a great job of blocking out and getting position even though they have a smaller ball club. Davis does the same thing.
Davis and Alford reaches in and commits a foul.
Alford really had no business being there in the first place because Beckwith is his man. Beckwith is wide open. Bobby might.
Yeah, Bobby is.
Look at that. Now, that is the look when you're a player and you look over the bench when you've just done something foolish, look at he's right now talking to Alford, and he's looking up at the sky like that. It's not because he's looking for birds in the ceiling. He is hot.
Johnson again. He missed one. Fly.
Oh, he backed up.
And Newman in there. He'll get the basket, and he's fouled, and Uwe Blab has 3. Well, that's what you were talking about.
Exactly. Now is the time to take Uwe Blab 1-1 the very next time down the court to try to get him out of there. If you're Bobby Knight, you got to be a little concerned about that, and he's pointing to his head saying, Uwe, start thinking out there.
Well, you know, Uwe is an excellent student. He's one of the finer students on campus, for that matter. But Bobby Knight is questioning that right now.
Let me say something. There are a lot of guys that are very intelligent in the classroom that don't think basketball, and vice versa. You know, there's some guys that are really brilliant basketball thinkers, and then they have a problem in the classroom.
They don't have that instinct.
Maybe it's what you really like to do, I guess. I don't know.
5-point lead now for Indiana. That time you think they're going to just salt this one away and have an easy stroll. Richmond's kind of crawling and scraping their way back.
Now Richmond's changed their defense again. Blob's trying to set a screen for Alford on the side.
Good ball movement again by the Hoosiers.
Now Richmond gaining some confidence here. The fans starting to pull behind him. Good job by Indiana.
Stu Robinson, he's a streak shooter. Remember in that game against Purdue, he had 8 of 9 from the field at 22 points. Career high. He had 6 in this one.
And then we didn't see him much in the Illinois game.
Illinois just took the game away.
Yep.
6 minutes to go, as you can see in this first half. 7-point lead for Indiana. They respect Johnson's shooting. He really do. Out there.
Now they're starting to come out a little bit higher when he steps out. Oh, that moving is soft, isn't he?
Remarkable player. He has 11 points.
And he gets that shot off quickly. Now, there are guys that have quick jump shots and guys that just have jump shots. Newman can shoot it right in your face. Back to the 2-1-2 zone. Blob's got a good position. Oh! Uwe had perfect position. All he had to do is lay that up soft off the board.
Bobby Knight is now really looking up to the ceiling.
Now, let's see if Richmond goes one-on-one on Blab, tries to step or fly open inside.
Uwe operating with 3 fouls. There's Newman working on him.
Oh, he went up there left-handed.
Going to have a foul inside on Indiana. I think it's Marty Simmons. Let's go back to that missed slam by Uwe Blab.
Now look at his excellent position. He has Newman blocked out. His teammates see him perfectly. Now all Uwe has to do is go up there and lay that on the board for an easy basket. And he'll hear about that one.
That's a 17 foul, so it's 1-1. Simmons committing his first personal foul.
Gary, you kind of get the feeling that Richmond's lulling Indiana to sleep a little bit right here. Now, Indiana came out strong, looked like they were in control of the game, and here Richmond's gaining confidence, playing better with every second. There is one of the poorest free throws.
You know what it is?
39.
Did you believe that?
And that was something that Auburn could have really taken advantage of in their ball game, is to foul a man who's got on the floor shooting 39, but he only went to the line once.
28-23, Indiana. Alford, the man who runs the show, to Marty Simmons. Look out, Uwe. There's 4.
Now that's 3, Gary. They must have missed one. Yeah, that's 3.
I thought we had 4 on the
He's coming out in any case.
Okay, coming in is going to be Mike Giome, a sophomore from Newark, Ohio.
Now, Giome's the kind of guy that could have a big game here. He's active. He can shoot the jumper. He's not going to have anybody against him with any size defensively, so he ought to score. There's Uwe sitting down with 3 fouls, and Dick Kern has to like that.
Boy, the West Germans have had impact this year in college basketball. Detlef Flint, Christian Belp. This guy, I guess Kentucky's going to sign him in.
Kentucky has signed a 7'4" West German player, and again on my soapbox, I don't believe that a foreign athlete ought to be able to participate in the NCAA championship in any sport.
He's a guy who finally hit a free throw. That might give him some confidence. He's got pretty good rotation. He hit 2 of those.
I wonder if he did that at any time yet this year.
28-25, the Hoosiers by 3.
beauty into motion every day. Delta is ready when you are. For the first time ever, here's Die-Hard batteries for every type of vehicle on sale. Save $5 to $50 on Die-Hard for boats, motorcycles, garden tractors, trucks, and RVs. Save $15 in a Die-Hard for your car. America's #1 selling replacement auto battery. Now just $54.99. When we install a Die-Hard, we install confidence, day and night.
There's more for your life at Sears.
It's a weekend of high-stakes golf for the PGA's top money winners. They'll shoot for the coveted title that is truly their own, the Tournament Players Championship, in 2 weeks on CBS Sports.
Yesterday, I talked to Dick Tarrant of Richmond. I asked him what he thinks of when he thinks of Indiana.
You think about great man-to-man defense and what you can do to try to score points, one thing. And, of course, a very difficult team to catch if you're behind, because they'll hang on to the ball for long periods of time, especially in the bonus, and they're a very good free throw shooting team. We know Indiana pretty well. I guess the whole country does.
What is the key then?
Well, I think we have to get an early lead if we can, and try to let them catch us rather than we catch it. They're a difficult team to catch if you're behind them, because they handle everything well. So I think getting the lead early and trying to make them play a bit like we want to play.
Indiana with a basketball with a 3-point lead. 4 minutes, 30 seconds left in this first half.
Richmond pushing that zone defense out a little bit. Now with Uwe Blab out of the game, they don't have to worry about it.
Kelvin Johnson on the steal. And now we have a 1-point game.
They won't have to worry about Indiana going over the top of the zone right now, Gary, so you can see a lot different here.
Kelvin Johnson with 10 points.
Solid ball player. Richmond starting to pick up a lot of confidence.
Alford from outside, and Block's not there to get that rebound.
But look at who was, Davis. Boy, does he get position.
At halftime, we'll have an update on this game. Kentucky playing well, obviously, against BYU. Fly might be a little more effective now with Uwe out of there.
No question about it. Good screen, that's a walk.
Newman with the turnover, number 7 against the Richmond Spiders, with 3:42 left until halftime.
Now Richmond really working their offense well. They started off the ball game just firing the ball up the basket. Now they're working their offense, getting good shots.
Indiana's got Giomi in there, but they've been staying with this 5 that opened the ball game.
Looks for Giomi to be able to get his jumper off on the baseline. Boy, Indiana just falling asleep here.
Kelvin Johnson, he's fouled by Simmons. That'll be a 2-shot foul.
Bobby Knight staying very patient and quiet. You wonder when the time bomb's going to explode on that sideline.
Well, I'd like to hear the dressing room at halftime.
And he's putting in some new people now.
Dockage is going to check in. Dan Dockage, number 11, a junior out of Merrillville, Indiana.
You know, Bobby's assistant coaches are sitting there looking straight ahead,
waiting.
Yep. And Dick Tarrant has to be happy. His ball club's hanging right in there.
Here we mentioned Richmond playing 5 games in 9 days. Look at their starters. 715 of the 800 minutes.
Really have to tell on you in time. Bobby Knight, now look, he's trying to talk to Stu Robinson. The official's trying to chase him away. Not giving Bobby a free timeout over there. Bobby didn't want to hear about that, so he just has Robinson moves him up a little higher, so he's not at the foul line extended.
We knew about Newman, but this young man, now with 11 points, has really carried Richmond. He has hit 5 of 6 from the field.
Johnson has been an outstanding player all along. We mentioned he's from DeMatha High School, so we know he's going to be well drilled. Seems to be very confident.
Dockage keeps it in play, and he'll come up with the ball. Third tie of the game now, 28 all.
Indiana has a ball club in there that's pretty well matched up now with Richmond in terms of size and excellent outside shooting with Dawkins, Robinson, Alford, and Giomi.
Dick Tarrant's team would like to make some moves now, get something going with Uwe out of there.
Yeah, Flynn is taking up so much more room right now, much more effective in the middle.
Dockage is a very good passer to Stu Robinson.
Nice.
Dockage sees the whole floor. He's a scrambler. He's the kind of guy that distributes the ball very well on the other side for Indiana. Had some strong games this year, and that'll be off of Johnson.
That's a tough pass that Flynn throwing across court there. In the case of Johnson, he wasn't quite ready to receive it.
Indiana by 2, 2.5 minutes left in the first half.
And Dick Tarrant got Flynn on the side and said, hey, just a little ball fake there, because it was a very tough catch.
Alford, quick jumper. Alford this year averaged 15 points a game. He had 6.
Oh,
And
Robinson
is hurt himself.
Yep.
He's turned an ankle or something in that area. Yep. He's down. The basket makes it 32-30.
Looks like one of those deals where you step on somebody's foot. He was down, and he's a tough kid, so you know he's not faking anything right there.
He's had one of those up and down seasons, and they'd like to have him around for the rest of this tournament.
Okay, let's see if he didn't step on somebody's foot. Right there it is. You see he stepped on another guy's sneaker and went down.
You know, you're surprised that doesn't happen more often.
Yep. Now, Bobby Knight talking to the official there. He's just working the official. He's not questioning whether somebody got hurt. Now, the official better get him back down. Bobby just starting to work it a little.
We're going to get Stu to the dressing room.
He's really hurt. Needs some help to even get off the court.
That means that we're going to have Chuck Franz coming in.
There was not a foul. There was no push. There was no activity there. You see, he just stepped his sneaker right here. Actually, it was Guillaume's foot that he stepped on and twisted his ankle. Just a freak accident.
They'll get that in ice as soon as possible.
And, of course, the ball with not having him on Johnson. Johnson hits another jumper.
And it's a 2-point game. Chuck Franz, number 23, a senior, comes into the game and replaces Stu Robinson. Indiana's going to have a battle if this thing continues the way it's going right now. 2 minutes left in the first half.
You don't advance to the NCAA without a battle most times, particularly against an underdog team who's had some success in opening rounds like Richmond has.
Mike Guillaume nails one.
That's his spot there, over there on the sideline.
Davis brings it out to Newman. Newman's not getting a lot of shots. Myers after him pretty good right now.
Yep. Needs that screen down inside to pop out of there. He's going to get it with Davis. Here he comes.
But Meyer was there.
Yep.
Well, he didn't bother Newman, did it?
What I like about Newman is he doesn't force the action, and he just realized he wasn't getting the ball outside, so he went inside and got the screen.
13 points for Newman. He and Johnson, a 1-2 punch for the Spider team. 2-point lead for Indiana.
They're giving Gossett a shot over there. Boy, off the big shoot.
Out of Newcastle, Indiana. All Big Ten newcomer of the year.
Oh, that's downtown.
Whoa. Newman now, after hitting that last one, has 15 points.
Does he put you to sleep? I mean, he just doesn't, it doesn't look like he's going to work up a sweat. Why don't see, you know, basketball players we don't get a chance to see during the regular season. See how many outstanding players there are in the country.
Indiana now with a 2-point lead. You see the time left in the first half. Again at halftime, highlights Kentucky, BYU. Brent will update all the regions.
Steve Johnson is being a little bit more aware of where Alford is right now, going out higher when Alford gets the ball.
Also at halftime, we'll have a preview of that Houston, Louisiana Tech game. Carl Malone and Akeem and company.
Down to 20 seconds. Gossett's going to hold it for one. You know who they'd like to see get the ball for that one would be Alford on a jumper, and Richmond realizes that too, so they're pulling out on him.
You see the time, 8 seconds. Playing some good defense.
Good backdoor by Meyer.
Knockers
Too
didn't
much
get enough
time.
time. They did not get a shot
Yes,
off.
sir. Good defense. Great job by Richmond.
Well, that's the end of the first half. The score, Indiana 36, Richmond 34. Indiana looked like they had things kind of going their way, and all of a sudden, Uwe got a foul trouble.
Well, one of the things that hurts you, Jerry, is that you come in a ball game, you get a nice early lead, and primarily Indiana got it because Richmond wasn't being patient with the ball, taking the crazy shots, but Richmond gained confidence with every minute they stay in this game.
Indiana was shooting very effectively in the early going, shooting 61%. Uwe goes out of there. They had to make some changes. Drew Robinson has been hurt. So it's a 2-point lead at halftime by Indiana. ABS Sports coverage. Basketball championship will continue. Richmond and Olympia. And a word from your local station.
Welcome back to New York. I'm Brett Musburger. 2 second-half problems now for Bobby Knight. Stu Robinson's injured ankle and also Uwe Blab's foul situation. He missed much of the second part of that half with 3 personal fouls. Now, elsewhere this afternoon, at the end of the first half, Kentucky is all over BYU, 42-29. This has been the most physical game of the tournament so far, and it sparked an incident that we will show you. Watch Dickie Beal feed Jim Master for the layup. Dickie Beal changed the complexion of this Kentucky team when he came in there with his blazing speed. Liddell Anderson has been upset with the officials and the Kentucky team. Watch Beal on the alley-oop to Sam Bowie for the dunk right there. Now, Mel Turpin and Scott Finnick will collide. Turpin goes down. As they get up, they become entangled. They exchange shoves and nasty words. There's confusion, and suddenly, Liddell is all over Joe B. Hall. They did not come to blows. They were quickly separated, later laughing. Liddell not too hard, however, because Kentucky is really drilling him, 42-29. BYU turned the ball over 13 times in the first 13 minutes of that game. Earlier today, top-seeded North Carolina advanced to the next round. They defeated Temple 77-66. The story, the defense applied by the Tar Heels in the second half. Watch what Terrence Stansbury of Temple did for them in the first half. 18 points as he was all over the court. Then Gene Smith switched Matt Doherty to him, and Doherty started to take away his shot. And inside, Sam Perkins went to work in the second half after scoring only 2 points in the first. Offensively, Michael Jordan, as usual, he simply took command of the Tar Heels, wound up with 27 points, and North Carolina now will play the winner of the Indiana-Richmond game, and we'll continue here on CBS in just a moment.
Ford Motor Company keeps getting better and better.
In a recent survey, thousands of new car and truck owners were asked to report problems during the first 3 months of use.
The survey shows Ford is making the highest quality cars and trucks of any major U.S. manufacturer.
For the third year in a row.
The latest survey of 1983 models shows we're in the lead with some very fine imports.
But you don't have to believe us. Just compare.
Compare the value of the new Ford Tempo to the best Japan has to offer. Compare the new Mark 7 for ride and handling any luxury car in the world. No one else has an electronic air suspension system. Compare the new Mustang SVO. Road and Track magazine did and said it may be the best all-around car for the enthusiast driver ever produced by the U.S.
Compare our cars. And their trucks. Do anything. Made anywhere.
Anybody.
At the desk where I sit, I've learned one great truth. The answer for all our national problems, the answer for all the problems in the world, comes to a single word. That word is education. A preceding message provided by the NCAA.
Now, coming up later this afternoon, the Houston Cougars, who lost that heartbreaker in the NCAA final last year, begin their quest for the title against a school where in recent years the big story on its campus has been the other basketball team. Ruston, Louisiana, home of the Lady Texans. But this year, the men decided it was time to get their acts together.
We've got a good men's program, and we have a good women's program, and it's not frustrating or anything. We've worked hard. We realized that if we got here, things would take care of themselves, and that's kind of where we're sitting.
Thursday night, the Bulldogs upset Fresno State decisively.
But this came as no surprise to the coach of another strong team, Tech play.
One of the finest teams I played this year is Louisiana Tech. They've got a dominating player, Carl Malone, and they've got a good supporting cast around him.
They'll need more than flowery adjectives today. They're matched against the Houston Cougars, and the Cougars have something to prove. That was the scene a year ago when North Carolina State beat them in the championship game. They've had a year to live with those memories.
We always are kind of in awe of some of these teams that you see on television night in and night out, but we're there, and I think, we can go a good way.
Houston, though, is awesome. By Slamma-Jamma. Well, sometimes Guy Lewis acts like he's not too happy. But when the ball winds up in the hands of center Akeem Abdul-Olajuwon and the Cougars get rolling, then very few teams can play with it.
People say Akeem, people start shaking, but he put on his stuff like everybody else did. He just started go out and go out. I think the main thing for us is to come out aggressive. We cannot get tentative against these people, and I would expect that we'll be aggressive. If we can be aggressive against a team like Fresno, who's got such a great defense, I think we can against Houston.
But unheralded Carl Malone must be able to handle Olajuwon.
If we go out and play hard and play together as a team like we have the last 5 ball games, we'll win.
That game from the Midwest region still to come on CBS. Now, an update, they have started the second half. Kentucky is still way ahead of BYU and pretty much coasting. 46-31. We'll continue our coverage on the road to Seattle and the Final Four here on CBS in just a moment.
State Farm agent Sam Johnson on life insurance.
The key in life insurance is listening to the policyholder and trying to determine what that policyholder needs. Now, when a policyholder comes in this office, they don't know that they need whole life or term insurance, but they do know what they want to protect. And so it's my responsibility to sit there and let them talk and listen to them, and then try to tailor our life insurance products to their needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
If you're a smoker, inside this little can is a legitimate alternative. This is Gold Bandit, an individual portion of wintergreen flavored tobacco in a neat, pre-moistened pouch. What you do is put one between your lips and gum. What you get is great tobacco taste without lighting up, and you can enjoy it wherever you are. If you're a smoker, try Gold Bandit. 20 pouches to a can. Take a pouch instead of a puff.
It's a big step, Tom. I'm still going to go to college, Dad, but after the Army. I thought you wanted to be an electrical engineer. I'll be learning about electronics, and I can qualify for the Army College Fund.
If you qualify, the Army College Fund will help you accumulate as much as $20,100 for tuition.
So you're going to be a soldier.
Be all that you can be.
And an engineer.
You can do it
Be a good one.
in the Army.
NCAA Volunteers for Youth, providing the young an opportunity to realize their talents, building a positive attitude in today's youth. Volunteers for Youth are college athletes who work with junior high school students one-to-one and develop special friendships. NCAA Volunteers for Youth, preparing better citizens for tomorrow. The preceding message provided by the NCAA.
At halftime, Indiana leading the surprising Richmond team 36-34. Really, one thing we wanted to point out is when Uwe Blab picked up that third foul, what happened in the game thereafter? That indicates that Richmond outscored him 11-8 at that stage.
Well, Indiana was being able to go right over the Richmond zone when Uwe was in the ball game, and he was getting excellent position. And here we're going to see Uwe pushing off on the inside a little bit. And going right after Davis, who is getting excellent position on the rebounding end, as he always does. One of the better garbage players you'll see, Gary, at his 6'5" height.
Richmond getting excellent play from two guys. First, let's highlight Kelvin Johnson. Johnson in the first half hit 6 of 7 from the field.
Well, an excellent shooter. He's been very patient getting the shot coming out of that double stack offense of theirs, and he squares up at the basket well. Here was one that he got on the break, did a good job with a little finger roll on the inside and got it to go all the way, but he's been hitting that jumper well and been very patient.
And how about John Newman? Smooth, 7 of 12, 15 points.
He showed me an awful lot, Gary. I think this is a guy that has a tremendous future ahead of him. He's silky smooth. He does not force anything, and every once in a while he'll come down the court and take about a 25 or 26-foot jump shot, so he has great range, and then he can go inside.
Well, look what they have done through the year. 54% Johnson and Newman combined, and they've even increased that today to 82.
82% of the scoring, and when you get that from two guys, that's one of those good news, bad news stories, because if you're Dick Tarrant, you say, hey, how much longer can we keep it up? We've got to get some other guys in the offense. And if you're Bobby Knight, said, hey, can we ever slow him down? So we'll see how it goes in the second half.
What do you think Bobby Knight said at half?
I think Bobby feels that his team should win this game unless the whole bottom drops out, and he was very patient in the first half with his ball club. He probably is going to pick up his intensity a little bit in the second half, and obviously the object in the NCAA is to get to the next game regardless of how good you look.
That next game would be against North Carolina.
If they get there.
CBS Sports coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship will continue with this commercial message and a word from your local station.
Discover a space vehicle unlike any you've ever seen before. With an advanced new form of Earth travel, Chevrolet Celebrity Wagon. Never before has a front-drive wagon touched down with this much inner space, enough for up to 8 people. Celebrity. No other front-drive wagon gives you more space at a price this low. And you.
This buzz for everyone who's getting the 1984 Olympic Games ready for the world. To everyone who's working hard for America's Olympic effort, this buzz for you.
This is CBS.
Important medical news. A liquid cough medicine breakthrough from the makers of Robitussin. New Extend 12. Just one dose stays with you up to 12 hours. Most ordinary cough liquids relieve only 4 to 6 hours per dose. New Extend 12 liquid contains timed-release medicine that extends your whole family's cough relief up to 12 hours. Get New Extend 12 liquid cough medicine. Extends relief all day, all night. New Extend 12.
They're kissing and telling.
Want to hear some more?
Every day on Love Connection.
You devil, you.
Love Connection, weekdays at 5 on TV6.
WTVR-TV, Richmond, Virginia, Channel 6.
Second round tournament game is sponsored by Chevrolet. America is on the move, and Chevrolet is supplying the wheels. Chevrolet and you taking charge. Budweiser, for all you do, this Bud's for you. And by National Car Rental, we give you national attention, and that's the truth.
Bobby Knight, I would imagine he got the attention of his troops at halftime.
Okay, we're going to see a fellow that probably we won't see in the second half. Stu Robinson, evidently that ankle is much more severe than anybody would have anticipated. Matter of fact, Gary, he's not even out on the bench now here for the second half.
He was listed as very doubtful. Dick Tarrant, his team trailing early in the ball game, has battled right back in it. They trail by 2 at halftime.
I wonder if he's got the same floors as Digger Phelps with those Irish carnations on today.
Ain't that?
There's that zone defense that Richmond used so well in the first half.
Fran starting the second half for Indiana. Alford, who was 4 of 6 in the first half, misses, and we're going to have a foul on the baseline against Newman. Yep, John Newman.
Good job by Giomi staying active on the board.
So Giomi starts the second half, as does Fran. Myers, the other man, along with Alford and Uwe Blab. Blab playing, of course, with those 3 personal fouls. Newman, by the way, has just picked up his 3rd foul.
Well, Richmond can ill afford to lose any starter, as we all know, but certainly not that young man.
Meyer trapped, gets it out, and Richmond playing aggressively on defense.
Good job by France to pull back outside and get the offense set up.
Well, he's the veteran. He's the senior on this team.
Blab is starting to work the position inside. Got Davis with him down there. He's got about 6-8 inches on Davis.
Giomi wide open.
That's a push off by Blab, and he got away with it.
And Meyer follows for 2.
Blab pushed Flynn. Flynn's arguing with the official right underneath the basket.
He's still arguing with officials. He goes back offensively. 6 points for Todd Meyer.
Nice
Johnny
save.
Davis with a left hand. It'll count, and he's fouled.
Beautiful ball fake by Davis.
No, they're going to call a foul on Davis.
Yes, the charge with the basket's going to count.
Davis committing the personal foul, basket counting. That's the first on Davis. It's a 2-point lead for
right
Indiana.
Here. Good ball fake, good call. Got the shot off. Basket counts.
Good change, though, wasn't it, from the right to the left hand?
The guy can't shoot free throws, but he can shoot both right and left-handed on the inside.
Bobby Knight talked about a lot of the guys don't square up well. They don't keep their eyes on the basket when they're shooting free throws. They got their head down.
Giomi's one of the best baseline jump shooters. He likes that spot, particularly on the right-hand side.
He's had some big games. He's been in and out of Bobby Knight's doghouse and fly right over Uwe that time. 6 points for the senior.
Bobby buries his head in his hands, wondering why his team isn't playing a little bit more aggressively on defense.
Well, he said we're not a good defensive team. Of course, that's been the forte of all these Indiana teams through the years, is that tough man-to-man defense.
Myers got the jump shot. They're giving it to him. He can take it right there. Doesn't hit it, but he had it. And Uwe Blab picked up another foul, got away with it.
He was boxed off, screened off by 2 Richmond players.
Well, what happened is he committed the foul. He didn't get caught, and Davis didn't want him on his back anymore, so he threw a good elbow and shook him up right there, right off his chest.
Richmond now with a chance to tie this ball game up.
Quick hands by Beckwith.
Alford comes down with it. Chuck Franz. And rebound by Newman, and there's number 4.
Job by Newman, really going up on the boards. Now, Bobby's trying to holler at the official, but there's no question that's a good call.
You thought he got away with 2 earlier.
Yeah, he really did. He pushed off earlier and got away with it. He's going to have to sit down now with 4. Now, look at Flynn holding him out in the inside, getting his block out position. There goes Newman, and no question Blab hit him. That's a good call.
Marty Simmons will come in. Simmons started the ball game, but not the second half. Robinson, by the way, Stu Robinson is back on the bench. Both shoes are on, but as we said, very doubtful he'll play.
It looked like that one sock rolled all the way down. Probably another tape job. Richmond picking up intensity, and there we see a sub in the ball game.
Tim Harden, there he is. He came in briefly in the first half.
I'm going to ask you a question. We get a lull about that, Gary. With Harden was in the first half, took one shot. Beckwith, he's been hot, and this Richmond club is picking up.
It's all even, 40 apiece at the 17-10 mark in the second round game in the East region. The winner to play North Carolina next week in the Omni in Atlanta.
Gary, when that happens, the pressure really goes on the favorite ball club.
Johnny Davis reaching in and committing the foul, his second.
What happens? You start tightening up. You're saying, hey, we can't lose this ball game, and then the underdog gaining more and more confidence with each time down the floor.
And one of the things you had going for you was the big guy in the middle on the bench with 4.
Beckwith showing great quickness outside. I agree with you, Gary. He's no 5'10", but he's a fine ball player.
He might be 5'8". Alford, who's been
there he
shooting
is.
well,
There's
doesn't
that
get
quickness.
that. He is, they say, a water bug. It's broken up off of Giomi. It'll be Richmond basketball. You got to have a guy like Beckwith once in a while. He's been so hot for him in the field goal department. He's been shooting 76% in the tournament.
From Uniontown, PA, a strong place for a lot of athletes over the years.
Oh, Rand tried to draw the foul and hit the deck hard. Davis with a rebound.
Nice pass out.
Beckwith again.
That's short.
And the air ball will give it back to Indiana.
Well, Harden is not shy. He's put up 3 shots now.
Kentucky is rolling to that victory. Kentucky will be in Rupp Arena if they win that. It'll be tough to dislodge them.
The power teams are starting to show now.
Get to the top 16 and your seeds are starting to show why they are seeded.
That's right. That NCAA tournament committee gets smarter and smarter each game.
Todd Meyer able to retrieve that one. Marty Simmons.
But Richmond really swarming on defense now.
It's tied up.
And without Blab in there, you see that Indiana can't go straight inside over the top of the zone.
Richmond is working very hard on defense.
No clock in NCAA play, so Indiana being very patient, and there's a good steal.
Richmond can take the lead. Kelvin Johnson.
And now you don't think that the fans are going to start pulling for Richmond. I'm talking about the neutral fans.
15 points for Kelvin Johnson. Now you start to see why Auburn had so much trouble with Richmond.
Club's very patient, very well coached, and has just enough talent to be pesky.
They're not getting any open shots.
Nope. Defense swarming pretty well. Well, they're not going inside with the ball. That's what's hurting them.
Brand's pass batted out of bounds by Harden. Dick Tarrant, he had a scouting service for a long time. Yep. He was a coach in New Jersey, and then a lot of the big-name coaches used his scouting service.
Came down with Lou Getz as an assistant. Of course, with that scouting service, he obviously made some excellent contacts with high school people around the country, so helped him a great deal there, and also got us a chance to see a lot of good college teams play.
There's a foul on Beckwith. Richmond led in this game 2-0, and they took the lead for the first time since that time just a moment ago. They lead by 2 now with 15:08 left to go. Beckwith committing his second foul.
He just reached in that time, didn't move his feet to get over into position. Indiana's problem right now, Gary, is they're not going inside at all with the ball. They're throwing everything around on the perimeter, and therefore Richmond's able to defend it. Got to go inside to Giommi and a couple other people to make that zone collapse. There it is into Giommi.
Giommi is fouled by Harden, who collapsed back on it. Indiana's had some hot hands through the course of the year. Chuck Franz in one game hit 7 of 7 against Illinois. Maybe they're going to have that today. Somebody really start to heat up. Richmond, surprisingly, with the lead by 2.
Where'd you get this price? That's not the weekend rate you promised me.
Of course it is, sir.
No way.
Would I lie?
Are you sure?
Oh, I'm positive, sir.
Only National guarantees weekend rates. Just $19.95 a day or less for any car up to this old Cutlass, guaranteed. And if we don't deliver, you'll get $50 off your next rental. We give you national attention, and that's the truth.
Bigger engines were easy on oil. But today's smaller, higher revving engines are tougher. They can break down an oil's viscosity within 1,500 miles. That's why there's Castrol. Tests show Castrol suffers no significant breakdown of viscosity even after 5,000 miles. So use Castrol, because if you make things too hard on your engine could make things hard on you. Castrol, engineered for smaller cars.
Saturday, in a 2-hour Mickey Spillane's Mike Hammer.
It was the only woman I ever asked to marry me.
Stacey Keach, Tanya Roberts, and Michelle Phillips, Saturday.
Well, Richmond looking more and more like a Cinderella ball club. Here's how they got to this particular game. Defeating Rider College in the opening round, and then Auburn. That was a 72-71 win that I don't think anybody forecast. Richmond in their first NCAA tournament ever. Mike Swanson just handed me an interesting statistic. Indiana has not been able to score any points from the middle since Blop's 12th point at the 8:59 mark of that first half. So again, with Uwe on the bench now with 4, you don't expect him to get a lot more in there, maybe.
That's right. They've got Giommi playing in the middle now. Obviously doesn't have the size that Blab has, but Bly's doing an excellent job right down in the center of that zone, occupying territory and being very aware of where the offensive people are.
Beckwith now has 3 fouls. Nice fake that time by Alford. That's a 16 foul against the Spiders.
Starting to pile up some fouls. Gary, I want to ask you a question. You know, it showed that all the Richmond starters played the entire first half. They played 20 minutes apiece. But we knew Harden was in the game because he made 1 shot. Suppose a guy only played for the last 10 seconds of the game, hits the winning shot in the game, and statistically, does it show he didn't even play? I didn't realize it. Unless you played over a minute, you don't get credit for playing at all.
I didn't even know that either.
Well, that's a shocker to me. Learn something every day.
Alford,
Boy,
you're going to have that.
Yep.
That's what's going to have to carry Indiana. He has 10 points. It's tied up.
But again, Gary, going down this wire in this ball game, if you're going to count on winning the game with perimeter shooting and nothing inside, that really favors Richmond.
Kelvin Johnson. Kelvin Johnson with a rich basketball background in DeMatha, Washington, D.C. Tremendous competitor. 44-42. Richmond with the advantage. Dockich, the good passer he is now. Giome.
They shouldn't count him from that spot for Giome unless he hits it straight through, because if he hits the rim, it's really not a good shot. He is deadly from that 12 feet right-hand side baseline.
6 points. Giome, in 6 games, averaged 16 points and 7 rebounds. Then he had a couple of off games and didn't play. Now he's come back in, and he may have to have a game in order for Indiana to avert an upset.
Well, he's really playing with intensity. Another thing I enjoy watching this game, Dick Tarrant has got Newman on the bench. Newman has 3 fouls. He's getting a nice rest now, and good patience by Tarrant, not wanting to get his star in trouble.
Took him out early in the game, too. Remember that?
Oh, Johnson, how about that?
Well, Kelvin Johnson taking up the slack while Newman gets that breather. He has 19 points.
Just a good head and ball fake.
You know, he's 9 of 10 from the field.
He's had those kind of ball games throughout this year. And he's been excellent in the tournament.
46-44, Richmond by 2. Just over 13 minutes left in the game. Dockich.
Newman's average is 19 a game in the 2 NCAA playoff games so far.
Boy, Dockich really has good vision, moving the ball around, and this time he shoots it himself. His first 2 points, it's even again.
Richmond really forcing the tempo better than Indiana, forcing the ball down the court quick before the defense can set up.
Remember how shaky they were early? They're playing with some confidence now. Fly misses. Rebound Giome. Giome was an excellent high school player. He was the Ohio Player of the Year his senior year.
That's right. Fly had the shot that he wanted. He's been hitting that jumper.
We welcome those who have been watching NCAA tournament action on CBS. We're at the Charlotte Coliseum of the East Region. A second round game at the 12:33 mark. That's what's left to be played, and Richmond, a Cinderella team in this tournament, is playing Indiana to a standstill. It's all even at 46. At halftime, Indiana led by 2, 36-34, and Indiana's big center, Uwe Blab, is on the bench right now with 4 fouls, and Bobby Knight is concerned.
They're drinking somebody's Coke over there, it looks like, and he's got Steve Alford on the line. I heard the fans from Richmond holler an air ball. I wonder if they realize what kind of free throw shooter they're talking about.
The leading free throw shooter in the country. That was a quick glance at Dick Tarrant, who is trying to design a major upset after already upsetting Auburn in the first round.
He's got Newman back into the ball game now. He's been sitting out for a while. The fans are just joining us. They're going to watch this young sophomore who has played a great game so far, and he's been on the bench getting arrested, protecting his foul situation.
Coming into the ball game, a new man for the first time. But before we tell you that, we want to tell you that we'll be keeping you apprised of that Kentucky-BYU game. We'll be posting that score. So for those of you who have joined us,
excuse me, Gary, Larry Fells in the game, and for people who haven't seen Richmond play this year, their starters have played just about the entire tournament. Incredible statistics going into this second half. They played 815 of the 900 minutes.
They're the Iron Men, and Richmond, their first time ever in an NCAA tournament, bring in Larry Fells, number 3. Fells has played very little. They've only gone to about 7 deep on this team, as the Richmond Spiders, who started out like they may not even be in this ball game. They were trailing early, and then they battled back. They got Blab into foul difficulty, and it's been seesaw back and forth since that time.
Line drive shot. That's going to be a foul coming over the back on Simmons. Good blocking out on the part of Richmond, Gary.
For those of you not familiar with this remarkable story by Richmond, they defeated Rider in the opening round action and then came in and defeated Auburn, the runner-up to Kentucky in the Southeastern Conference, 72-71. Richmond, the champions of the ECAC South Conference. They come in here with a 22-9 record. And Billy, thus far, Richmond, after a shaky start, kind of playing this game the way they want it.
There's Newman. Pretty good defensive play by Marty Simmons. Had his hands straight up, but Newman turns on you so well. He puts it, he squares up. It's, you know, it's pretty hard to come out Gary, when your back is to the basket, come out to the ball and make your turn move and let you square up to the basket very well. There's Uwe Blab sitting over there.
4 fouls. He was in foul difficulty in the first half, picked up his 4th here in the second half. Simmons committing that last personal foul, and he has 4. So Bobby Knight's going to have to use that bench, and he's going to bring in Blop now at the 11:37 mark.
Now, the thinking there, and I'm not trying to read through Bobby, but you know you don't want Uwe in the ball game if you're going down the wire in your delay game, or if you have to come from behind and chase Richmond, so you might as well use him now.
Now, Johnson and Newman have been an excellent 1-2 punch. Newman was the player of the year in his conference. Johnson, the veteran guard from outside. Blop scoring early in the game, and Alford in the first half hit 4 of 6 from the field.
Well, Newman's got the whole package, doesn't he? Excellent free throw shooter. A good rotation on the ball, and here's Richmond changing their defense just a little bit, showing a different front, and then they go back to that 2-3 zone. Fly in the middle.
Indiana by 1, 48-47. 11 minutes, 20 seconds. The winner of this game will play North Carolina next week in Atlanta.
Doesn't it make a difference for Blobs in the ball game? They go right inside. He sealed off the defense and had an easy shot.
And nobody to match up with him. Newman. You said the whole package. That's probably as descriptive as you could be. Here is a man unknown relatively, other than in his conference, but that's no more. He is going to be a headliner. There's the time left in the game, less than 11.
And Newman plays well in the big games. Let's see if Blob tried to do the same thing inside. He's walling off all the defenders.
Alford, he is shooting well from outside.
Kind of a flat shot, Gary, today. He doesn't seem to have the arch he normally has on his shot, but he's hitting them anyway. Good defense.
14 points, and Giome trying to track it down, but look at Beckwith. There's the quickness that he adds to this ball club.
He just out-hustled everybody from Indiana there. I realize he has quickness, but he wanted the ball more.
52-49 Indiana.
Giome now on Newman.
Newman, just a sophomore, only one senior in the starting lineup for Richmond. What a story it's been. And there, Beckwith wanted to pass, held on to it, and coming up with his Alford.
Nice job by Steve Alford, because he had Beckwith coming from the blind side. He was able to control the ball.
That's 10 turnovers against Richmond. Alford again, same spot, not the same result. Davis tips it over to Fly, and Fly is fouled by Giome heading up the floor.
And Davis doing a great job on the weak side rebounding. Just that 6'5", might not be that tall. But he gets good positions, got a powerful upper body.
And there is an update on that game from Birmingham. Kentucky leading BYU. This game, a 3-point lead by the Hoosiers. Indiana with a 52-49 lead. They led by 2 at halftime. Bobby Knight, who's won 2 NCAA titles. Bobby Knight, our Olympic coach. You said at the top of the show, Billy, how diligent he has been in preparing for the Olympics in Los Angeles.
Now, Bobby is a person, and I was kind of shocked when he told me this when we were out for one of those walks the other day, and that he believes something that we agree on one thing, that there should be a permanent Olympic coach that ought to have a 4-year reign. Obviously, Bobby has to work so hard with it now. There goes Fly up for the jumper.
Giome there with the rebound. Giome at 6'8".
Seems like Indiana now with Blob in the game has got their inside game back again. It really proves to be a lot of problems for Richmond.
Rebound attempt by Dockage. I want to remind some of you, watching this game, you'll be leaving this to go to the Dayton, Oklahoma game from the West region. That game being played out in Salt Lake City, so don't worry. If you're a Dayton and Oklahoma fan, we'll be bringing you up to date on those areas, and we'll keep the rest of you right here. There's Blab with the rebound.
Good, strong rebound. And now Indiana starting to pick up some intensity on the rebound end, but Newman pulls it away in his classy style.
John Newman, a big story in this game, and Richmond, of course, right now, the biggest surprise, I would feel, in the whole entire tournament.
Gary, I think it's a very important basket for Richmond here, because Indiana's got their delay game, and they use it for long periods of time. And pretty soon, Bobby Knight going to pull them out of that zone if he can get the ball back with a lead of 3 points or so.
8 minutes and 40 seconds left in this game. Still a 3-point lead for Indiana.
He probably wouldn't pull him out if he only had a 1-point lead, but if he could get 3 in the ball, he just might do it.
Here is Newman. Hit by Davis, and a foul inside.
Dockage pushing off.
That was the quickness again of Johnny Davis. Davis really uses that left hand well. We've seen him twice now go up on the board with it.
Well, did you see Newman's shot? How soft it was. Look at how it stays up on the rim. Looks like it almost has a magnet to it. There's Davis going up, getting that good position. Dockage pushing him off.
Dockage with his first 15 foul, and they just soon not have Davis go to the free throw line. He's only a 39% free throw shooter. They'd rather have the ball, and that's what they've got. Here's Davis. Broken up by Alford.
He telegraphed that pass. Good job by Steve Alford, cutting off the passing lane.
Alford with a strong game. 11 turnovers by Richmond.
There's Uwe Blab wide open. They're not getting the ball inside. Things will happen if you get inside that zone. Richmond been in the zone the entire ball game. Occasionally they trap. Played the box and one for a very short segment.
He only wants the shot.
Is that his spot or not?
8 points. I think he's gotten back out of Bobby Knight's doghouse.
Well, you got to make him put on the ball on the floor. You might as well charge right out at him when he gets the ball down in that area.
Beckwith has been very hot. Hot for the rebound.
Nice rebound.
That's 7 for Uwe.
Bobby Knight looks at the clock, and there's Kentucky just absolutely pouring it on. You know, Gary, there are only 2 teams west of the Rockies that are left now in the NCAA playoffs. What I say, they'd pull it out. Let's see if he's going to go ahead and delay and make them play man-to-man.
Those 2 teams are UNLV and Washington.
That's right. Nice pass.
Same spot. And Fly with a strong rebound.
A nice pass by Dockage. He really sees the court.
Richmond needs a basket, and Fly is...
Wait a minute.
Is that what it is?
Yep. And first, Bobby's saying that he walked, which Fly did walk first, but then Uwe Blab made the initial contact. He's out of there. Now, again, not a bad move by Bobby Knight, because remember he put Uwe back in there, realizing now if he goes to his delay game, he didn't want Uwe in there anyway. Now here we see it. You're not going to pick up the walk. Now, what do you think?
I don't know.
Uwe has got to be planted. Had he had his feet on the ground, no question it'd be a charge. You see it again. You see his feet were not planted on the ground.
Very close. But Fly fouls him out of there, and we're going to see Courtney Whitty come in.
Now, Gary, let me ask you a question. If you're a referee, you're going to walk over and say, it was very close. I mean, you got to make a call. It's got to either be a charge or a block. Now, if Uwe had his feet planted...
Now, it looks to me like he may have, huh?
Oh, boy.
It's awfully, as I said, awfully close.
You know, it was kind of interesting in the game when the official came over to the NCAA play and said, let's take a look at it. I mean, let's aware the fans that that's not going to happen again in the NCAA tournament. Foul.
Kelvin Johnson fouled by Chuck Fran. Whether we agree or not, Uwe Blab fouled out of the ball game. He played 7 minutes in the second half, goes out with 14 points and 7 rebounds. And a big obstacle has been removed in the way of Richmond.
Yep. I don't believe Bobby Knight would like to go into delay in this game because he'd like his team going, but the object is to win this game, and I'll be shocked if he doesn't go into delay shortly.
Can you win without Uwe? That's the big question now. Johnson, 19 points. Give him 20.
Good form on the shot.
He's kind of the spirit of this ball club. A co-captain along with Bill Fly, even though he's a junior.
But there, and I look at this ball game, I really think that the Auburn game shocked me more that Richmond would win. This game is really not going to be too big a shocker for me because they're advancing the tournament. They're gaining a lot of confidence. The game has not been an up-and-down ball game. Oh, what a shot.
Rocky. Very artistic, at least. That's 4 points.
It was a very difficult shot. I'm surprised he took it.
Dockage makes it 56-51. Well, that game against Auburn, Richmond just got too far ahead of Auburn. They just couldn't find enough time to get back and win it. This game has not been the case at all. It's been even.
Dockage playing good defense on Davis. Davis a good ball handler.
Only thing he doesn't do is shoot free throws.
That's right. Got a screen that time on France going to his jaw.
Newman having a tough time finding some shots. Early in the game, he had him. And
nice pass
on him to Fly, and that is Davis with the assist.
An excellent pass by Davis. And a good steal by Fly.
Fly with 8 points, a 3-point lead now for Indiana.
Dockett to pass.
Giomi followed by Whitty. And a foul. Let's go back to that last sequence.
Now Dockett's really sitting down there and passing. We'll see right, this is the last sequence where Davis throws the perfect pass. Now look at how Fly has sealed off his man inside and lays it up. Very well executed. Richmond's a well-coached ball club.
Newman committed his 3rd foul, and Courtney Whitty, the only junior college player, if you look at Dick Tarrant, that Bobby Knight has recruited since he's been at Indiana. Courtney's father played at Indiana as well as an uncle in Vincennes, Indiana.
Vincennes, Indiana brings back memories, a great junior college program, and a fellow that came from there that did so well in this part of the country is Robert McAdoo.
He misses one, 57-53, Newman. Dockich has the ball, and he's fouled by Johnny Davis, and Dockich is on both ends of the floor now, made some big plays.
He's doing an excellent job passing the ball well. He's got good court awareness. Did a good job defensively, blocking out.
And also a very costly foul. That's the 4th on John Newman.
Newman put that. Was that on Newman or Davis? I thought that was on Davis.
We were told Newman. We'll check in and be sure.
Davis on. He was on the weak side. Newman took the jump shot.
Okay.
Newman put up that jumper, and you know normally you'd look at a shot like that and say it wasn't a good shot selection, but he's so smooth and has such good range.
Dockich missed an important free throw. 57-53, 5.5 minutes to go.
Indiana playing a man-to-man, and they play it the entire game, the entire season. Bobby Knight's entire career.
Fly jumps out.
Big shot.
And Giomi comes up with a carom.
I guess when Richmond gets close, they cannot get it within 2. That's 2 good opportunities.
Here's the man that masterminds it on the floor, just a freshman. Alford, look at him, talking to another man, Franz, who's a senior, but Alford is the stabilizer. He's been the guy all year that's directed this Bobby Knight team, such a young team, starting as many as 4 freshmen.
There's semi-delay going on right now.
Beckwith saw an opportunity there.
He's got to be careful on those lob passes because he's so quick.
Franz, and that may be the first shot he's put up.
He took that jumper before, Gary, and didn't miss it, but it's a big shot to take. Puts him up 6. Nice fake.
Davis on the move, and Dockich is called for the foul.
If anything, you definitely do not want to go ahead and commit a foul because it stops that clock. Bobby Knight wanted to walk call on Davis's move.
With 4:28, Bobby will talk to Alford.
What he's talking to Alford about is tell him to go to that referee and tell him how about the walking violation. You see, Alford's down inside.
So this is the man you want at the line if you're Indiana. 39% free throw shooter. 4 points thus far, but 11 rebounds and a couple of very nice passes.
There's that shot. Hey, that's 3 in a row. He made 2 in a row in the first half and hits that one, and the fans are going crazy from Richmond. Gary, you know what's interesting, too, about Bobby Knight? Not only is he in the tournament, but at this point in the tournament, he has 3 of his assistants who have ball clubs there also.
That shows you what statistics mean. Nothing in that case. All of a sudden, it's now 59-55. You see Richmond in some real problems. Of course, Indiana's already lost to Uwe Blab, but Davis with 4, Beckwith with 3, Newman with 3.
Well, we're going to see a delay game coming, Gary. I can't believe that Indiana wouldn't, if they get that ball back, start to sit on it a little bit, use up some clock, and force Richmond to come out of the zone.
This game just about over, and probably mercifully as far as BYU is concerned.
Well, the first time I saw a score on that, it was 12-4. I think that one was over early. And Kentucky returns to Rupp. They will be tough to beat there.
They'll be home in Rupp Arena for that Mid-East regional. The first game that was played here, North Carolina beating Temple. A game that they wore Temple down and had a remarkable performance from Michael Jordan in particular.
Here's the delay game. Indiana is not going up against the zone anymore today. They're going to the delay game, and with Alford out there, the man that handles the ball most of the time and goes to the foul line, Indiana is very tough. And who would have thought that Indiana would have to hold the ball to beat Richmond, huh? You don't have any moral victories.
Less than 4 minutes to go, as you can see on the screen.
Now, Richmond is still in the zone. Now they're going to go ahead and come out and pick up a man. Let's see if they'll get out of that zone and come out and actually pick up men. So far, they're still in the zone.
Started the count that time on Giome. He had to get it out of there. 59-55, Indiana with a lead.
Now, Dick Tarrant probably wants to stay. Now, he's hollering for a change in defense at 5. They're coming out, picking up man-to-man. Okay, man-to-man defense now. Beckwith with a lot of quickness out there in France.
Nice play to Whitty.
That's what coaching's all about.
Courtney Whitty hasn't played that much, but he's come in here to hit a big basket. 61-55. Fly.
Nice job by Fly, putting it up quickly.
10 points for the senior. They just can't shake this Richmond team.
Nope. Now, you know, Richmond, if they have enough strength left, they have an advantage in quickness out there. Beckwith, Johnson, and Davis all are quicker than the man they're guarding. There's an example.
Johnson almost got that ball away from Dockey.
Now, when you go out and press man-to-man, if you've got an advantage of quickness, if you have anything left in stamina, you can do the job.
Fourth foul on Beckwith, and there's the final from Birmingham. Kentucky will go home to Rupp Arena next week, defeating Brigham Young University 93-68.
Gary, here's the guy that Bobby Knight wants on the line.
And they will play the winner of Louisville and Tulsa, they being Kentucky, in Rupp Arena next week.
I showed Dick Tarrant there, and there's Bobby Knight for Steve Alford, but I mentioned that Bobby's got 3 former assistants in the NCAA. Dave List with SMU, got Bob Donewald
at Illinois State,
and he's got Mike Krzyzewski at Duke, so he's got 3 guys that have worked for him that are in the tournament.
Alford now with 15 points. Fun to watch shoot free throws.
And he's got one of his Olympic assistant coaches, Don Donaher, in it also, so not doing bad.
63-57 Indiana, 2:24 left. Davis, Fly again, and Newman tried to follow. Rockets with the rebound.
Rockets doing a nice job for Bobby Knight in this game.
Indiana will be in no hurry with 2:12 to go. Trying to avert an upset from the Richmond Spiders, who's been trying to be the Cinderella team, upsetting Auburn here on Thursday night. There's a foul, and it's going to go on Johnson, and he's pleading his case. That's his third.
Johnson sitting down very well defensively, but he reached in and got caught.
2 minutes exactly left to be played.
Now you got both teams in the 1-on-1 situation. If you're Indiana, you don't want to foul at all.
Coming in again for the second time in this game is Larry Fells, number 3, a junior. And Alford to the line. The one guy you don't want to foul, Alford, the leading free throw shooter in the country.
Kind of interesting, if you're going to take Johnson out, you'd like to take him out when he can be rested on the defensive end of the court, as opposed to taking him out for offense. There he is sitting there, had a fine ball game.
He really got this team started. They were shaky at the early going, and Johnson was the guy that was dropping him from outside. They're going to get him back in right away. Here is Fells, who checked in for him.
Now the clock becomes Richmond's opponent. There's Johnson coming back to the bench, back to the scorer's table to come back in. Newman wanting that ball inside.
Davis, fly over the back.
And there's Fly. Going to go to the sidelines right now in regard to the timeout by Coach Tarrant.
Tarrant has called it, yes, and Fly has committed his second foul. Dick Tarrant, only his 3rd year as coach. The first year they had a very fine year, 18-11. They went to the NIT. That was the first postseason tournament they'd ever been in. And then, of course, this is their first year in the NCAA.
Barry, this is not even fair, but I'm going to ask you a little trivia question. Who was the leading scorer in the nation in 1975?
Somebody from Richmond.
Yeah. How about that? You got it right. Bob McCurdy. You know, that's a basketball trivia question that nobody was getting unless he was really into the game. He was the leading scorer in the nation in 1975 with 32.8 a game. Transferred from what school to Richmond? I'm really hurt you. No, I mean, you know, people don't realize.
Let me guess, Wake Forest.
Nope, close. University of Virginia. Wake went from Charlottesville to Richmond and was the leading scorer in the nation. But right now, Richmond's got a lot of problems, Gary. 1:43 to go. Bobby Knight in his delay game, and Steve Alford going to the line a lot.
You know, I was just thinking ahead in this tournament, you look to the regional play. If Indiana wins here, you've got a confrontation between Bobby Knight and Dean Smith. A moment ago, we were mentioning Louisville and Tulsa. You might have Denny Crum against Joe B. Hall. Would that be something if this tournament shapes up that way?
It looks that way. When you talk about it, you know, Bobby Knight took on Dean Smith for a national crown a few years ago and came out the winner. MVPs for this game, huh? What do you think?
Well, we'll have to talk about it very silently between the two of us, the first break that we get. Bobby Knight, who many people feel had one of the finest teams of all time in 1976 when they won the NCAA championship. Voted that way by a couple of polls that I've seen.
Team of the decade. And maybe one of the great teams of all time. Certainly one of the great teams of all time. Okay, Woody on the line. Indiana went to that delay game with about 4 minutes to go. Forced Richmond to come out of the zone.
Woody's come in and played very well. Free throw shooter is not all that impressive. About 43, hasn't been to the line that much, though.
I see Robinson walking up and down the sidelines over there, rooting his teammates on. Bobby Knight would like to have that young man back, though, for North Carolina game.
With you who joined us late, Stu Robinson, their starting guard, sprained an ankle in that first half and hasn't returned, and looks like he'll get a chance to play next week. 10-point lead now for the Hoosiers.
Don't want to foul if you're Indiana.
Johnson, nice move inside, and now another timeout. Johnson with 23 points. That's it back to 8. Minute and 29 seconds to play. Looking ahead on CBS today in the Mideast region, West Virginia, Gail Catlett's team, a big upset over Oregon State against Lefty Drizel's Maryland team, who won the ACC tourney. Memphis State against Purdue, and that will be in the Mid-South Coliseum, Memphis State's home floor. And Billy, this last one, two teams with pretty good tempo, out of Las Vegas and Texas El Paso.
Two teams that really can play some hard-nosed defense also, and Don Haskins and Jerry Tarkanian, two good friends going at each other.
They sat together at the game the other night out in Salt Lake City, visiting. Don wasn't feeling very well.
No, he was very sick. It looked like a bad case of the flu. There's a double team coming up. Alford falls down, and a reach.
Davis committing the foul. He gets fouled out.
As I said, Richmond doesn't have the subs to go ahead and attack people with a lot of people, but they have excellent quickness, and if they were fresh, they can give Indiana trouble with that pressure. If you can't press full court, if you're Dick Tarrant, because you know this team will wear down and you'd never have any subs to put on in there. 1:21 to go. And there's a young man that gives 100% in every game he plays. Johnny Davis, 6 points, 11 rebounds, hit, 3 or 4 free throws in a row, which has got to be his all-time record. He's only shot 39% on the year.
Well, he's got a chance now to realize what he's accomplished. I don't know if the Richmond really is aware yet of what they've been able to do, the upsets they've pulled. They've got to be a very tired basketball team. Robert Tucker now has checked in, number 31, after the foul out.
I noticed that the Richmond fans aren't hollering air ball anymore when Alford goes to the line.
Well, he's 7 of 7 from the line, and that's just to be expected when you're shooting over 90% for the year. It's 19 and 20 points. Strong game.
I don't know if he'd shoot an air ball if you blindfolded him. No, I'm serious about that. He has the feel from that foul line. There goes Newman.
Newman hits the deck. No foul. Whitty with a rebound.
The object here for Indiana is to get fouled. Don't throw the ball away.
Rand's almost traveled. Gets it to Whitty, and he's going to, well, he was going to have a layup, and Fly commits the foul. Minute 2 to go, his third.
You know, one of the toughest things in sports is to know you are about to play your last minute of a ball game, and that's what Fly's going through right now. A senior, he's got to be very happy that his ball club got this far, but he's got to look up at that clock and know in 1 minute something he's worked a long time for is all going to come to an end.
Most of this Richmond team, as well as Indiana, is going to be back next year.
You find a lot of very cheerful dressing rooms in NCAA tournament time. And then a couple hours later, a guy realizes, hey, I've accomplished an awful lot of my career.
People in Richmond got a be very pleased with the performance of this ball club. 22-9 coming in. Newman.
Nothing but net. That's the last time out for Richmond.
Newman with 20 points. You know, he was shooting those in the first half, and then he hasn't been doing it here in the second half. Maybe he should have stayed with it because he has not missed very many shots.
Well, he has tremendous range on that shot. If you go out there to go ahead and try to alter that shot, he just goes by you. He's a tremendous offensive performer. Does a nice job on the boards, too.
So 54 seconds away from Atlanta.
Gary,
Indiana Hoosiers.
What was your appraisal? This game looks like it's going down to be an Indiana, North Carolina game down in the Omni. What was your appraisal of North Carolina, having seen them today?
Well, before I do that, let me just mention that our executive producer of NCAA Sports is Kevin O'Malley. Our producer is Rick Lasavita. Our director, Larry Cavallina. Patty Tuitt is our associate producer. Stu Meyer, Suzanne Smith, people who have worked very, very hard putting this doubleheader together, and our technical crew had to work so hard to get ready for this game, and we really appreciate them, along with Gene Corrigan, who is representing the men's basketball committee. And Gene waving across the way, we've really enjoyed him. Now, to answer your question, I thought that North Carolina played remarkably well, but the question I have is if Kenny Smith, with that hand that bothers him, if that would be the difference between winning it all.
Well, their team is a lot different ball club with him in there than without him, but he is still, and I'd agree with you, not anywhere close to the ball player he was physically earlier in the year when they were really hot, because in the delay game, he has a little problem with that crossover.
Foul. Beckwith trying to guard Alford, and Beckwith is fouled out. To get back to that North Carolina team, Michael Jordan, just again a show he put on. Sam Perkins was very quiet in the first half, came on strong in the second half. I thought that Matt and Brad Doherty, the two Dohertys,
both played
their usual role.
Yeah, I thought they played very well. Matt Doherty's had a succession of excellent games lately.
Well, what do you figure if North Carolina and Indiana go against each other? Bobby Knight and Dean Smith, will be a lot of coaching going on. Beckwith fouls out with 2 points, but 8 assists.
Now, he came into this season with a knee injury, and of course, when he got back in the lineup, took over that point guard, which freed up Johnson to be the second guard, made Richmond doubly tough.
Mr. Automatic is at the free throw line, 8 of 8.
Hey, that little guy Beckwith had 7 rebounds against Auburn. Can you imagine that?
And he is 5'8" if he's back.
He's 5'8". He can't weigh over 130 pounds. If you were that size and knew Charles Barkley was in the gym, you wouldn't go near a rebound.
Get out of the way anyway.
That's right.
Alford with 2 more, now has 22 points. Brick. A brick by Robert Tucker.
Johnson. Boy, he's had a good game.
Kelvin Johnson. 25 for Johnson.
And here's what Alford does so well. He keeps the ball in his possession in the delay game. He almost, and Indiana's smart, they go ahead and make sure that he gets it often so he can go to that foul line.
I want to remind everybody to stay with us. We're not through yet. CBS will continue its second round coverage of NCAA basketball. Bobby Knight now sitting back. He has this one in his hip pocket. It'll be their 21st win of the year against 8 setbacks. And the number 4 seed in this East region will head on to the East Regional in the Omni.
Indiana, good free throw shooting team, particularly when you get Alford and guys like Dockich on that line.
They've hit 15 of 20, Billy.
Yep. Well, so you're going to have 2 excellent free throw shooting teams down at Omni.
Dockich tries to follow. Newman comes up with it instead. Johnson, by the way, with 25 points. That is his high for the season, and now he's broken that. Even further up to 27.
And Whitty was wide open down the other end of the court. 2 players colliding from Richmond.
That foul will go on Johnson, and he collided with his teammate Tucker. Uwe Blab holding his head. He felt that from over in the bench area.
There's Johnson. I thought the only thing that's gone wrong for him today, other than his ball club is not able to win the game, because he's had an excellent basketball game. And now McCarron going to the entire bench.
Joe Runk is coming in. Let's look ahead now. Again, we'll set it for in the Mid-East region. West Virginia, Maryland, Memphis State, Purdue, UNLV against Texas El Paso.
Now, just how much of a Cinderella club is Purdue? They're going to really be tested, because Memphis State playing well now, playing on their home court. And they've been there now, what seems like for 2 weeks, because, you know, they played that Metro Conference tournament there and played so well to win that championship.
They were a different ball club at home than one we saw earlier.
And again, Dockett just putting those nails in the coffin by hitting those free throws.
10-point lead with 15 seconds to go. Fells from the corner.
The object is to pass the ball and not get fouled. Oh, tough job. Ball's almost picked one off the head coast to coast with it.
Understand that Johnson, with his 27 points now, is a career high. He had 26 points his sophomore year, so finishes out this season very effectively. Myron Simmons now will come in, number 21.
And Newman going out. And one of the things that Dick Parrott really has to be happy with there is he knows that guy's going to be back for 2 more years.
And so Indiana's on their way to Atlanta to meet North Carolina, 2 great teams with outstanding basketball tradition. So the final score here from the Charlotte Coliseum in the second round in the East region. Indiana 75, Richmond 67. There's an interesting gesture. Bobby Knight with his arm around Fly.
Well, for people that understand Bobby, and sometimes he's totally misunderstood, and sometimes he gets himself in a position where he has to be read every once in a while, but he's one guy that's very gracious to his opponent that he knows that gave their heart for a ball game. He really appreciates that.
You know what that reminds me of? Last year when they beat Oklahoma, Wayman Tisdale. He came over to him afterwards, talked to him, says, hey, I want you on my team, my Olympic team.
Well, Bobby appreciates effort. He appreciates guys that do what the coach asks, and that's certainly what happened in the case of Richmond.
And so the Cinderella story has come to an end. Indiana, methodically, with a 75-60